Since I was a boy, I grew up to the sound of gunfire and the scent of gunpowder drifting through ancient oak groves. This place isn't just a picturesque landscape, it's a sacred ground for wild boars, creatures both cunning and ferocious. Today is a special day. It's the day of the biggest hunt of the year, bringing together more than 20 hunters from across central Italy. We gathered early in the morning at the edge of Monte Amiata Forest with our pack of hunting dogs. I led a three-man team into the western part of the woods. Every step was a safety check. Gun loaded, bullets tucked into the leather pocket of my coat, eyes watching every branch that moved slightly. The hunting dogs picked up a scent and rushed into the trees. A loud noise erupted ahead, and I signaled for readiness. Suddenly, a massive wild boar charged out from the forest. I could only react instinctively. The gunshot rang out, the boar was hit and collapsed to the ground. Before we had time to celebrate, several more wild boars appeared. We kept firing. One of them, weighing over 100 kilograms, dropped to the ground. "Oh my God," Davide exclaimed as he witnessed the unbelievable scene before us. Luca quickly signaled to open fire, and I unloaded my rounds continuously. Some of the wild boars went down. We signaled the other hunting teams and began tracking the trail of this massive herd of wild boars. Around 9 a.m., as sunlight began to pierce through the damp canopy, we heard a strong rustling sound from the bushes ahead. Luca signaled us to stop. A wild boar emerged from the undergrowth. Perhaps sensing the danger, it bolted at full speed. We opened fire. Although the boar was hit, it still managed to flee into the forest. About 100 meters away, we found it was a fully grown wild boar. After marking the location of the boar, we continued our ambush at the spot. Suddenly, we heard the sound of hurried footsteps coming from the east. As we turned, a wild boar appeared. It burst out from the bushes and was quickly taken down by a single shot. Wow, a precise shot eliminated the boar instantly. But we didn't stop there. We decided to go deeper into the forest in search of it. The forest was not as peaceful as it looked. Some areas were blocked by fallen trees. But what caught our attention were the massive footprints deeply pressed into the soil discovered by Luca. We decided to follow the trail. The closer we got to where the wild boars were active, the more signs we found of the ground being dug up by them. After about 30 minutes of searching, we saw a large-sized wild boar. We were determined not to let this one escape. Everyone held their guns tightly and kept a close watch on what lay ahead. A loud shot rang out. The wild boar fell instantly. It seemed that today's hunt was going smoothly, as we had managed to bring down these wild boars with ease. By the afternoon, we moved to the forest's edge to prepare for gathering our trophies and heading home. There, one more wild boar had been taken down. This would be the last boar we hunted. wild boars we harvest are usually distributed to families in the village or delivered to local processing facilities. In general, we make use of them, and wild boar meat is very delicious if you know how to prepare it properly. That's the end of today's video. What did you think of today's hunt? Leave us lots of comments below so we can hear from you. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.
This weekend, Jackson invited me to California to hunt wild boars together. He often talks about wild boars here and the terrible destruction they cause to crops. Therefore, such hunting trips are encouraged by the state government, and he often hunts with his friends. Without thinking much, I packed up and moved here, preparing for the hunting trip. Come on, let's start this exciting journey together. Invasive feral pigs in California are causing many negative impacts on the environment and people's lives. They not only invade residential areas but also plow up lawns in residential areas, damage the landscape and cause insecurity. In addition, feral pigs also destroy fields, seriously affecting crop yields and causing economic losses to farmers. To address this situation, the California state government encourages hunters and farmers to participate in hunting activities to control the number of feral pigs. Early in the morning, we started moving to the large field where Jackson said feral pigs often appeared. And sure enough, as the fog still hung over the mountain tops, we soon spotted a herd of wild boars. They were leisurely foraging in the harvested rice fields, their fur shiny black, their bodies massive. They must have been foraging and destroying the rice fields all season. That's why they were so fat. Carefully placing the Ruger American 22 Magnum, I tried to aim accurately. My target must be the fattest wild boar. Thinking about taking it down, I felt a surge of adrenaline. There was no time to hesitate. I pulled the trigger and fired. The bullet hit the boar's flank. It was clearly a weak spot, and the boar actually bolted from the sudden pain. I only ran a few meters. The accurate shot took it down. The wild boar lay motionless in the field, probably weighing around 300 pounds. After a great start, our hunt continued on the way into the central California fields. We came across a herd of wild boars wandering by a small stream. And the herd slowly walked through the dry grass. The black fur made them stand out a lot. Look! I also found some mottled pigs. The size was not to be underestimated. It seemed that they realized something. The herd quickly ran away and disappeared behind the trees. A few minutes later, we chased and took down a black wild boar. With just one accurate shot, the wild boar rolled down the slope and was taken down. As expected, hunting wild pigs in California was a great experience. I killed monsters that destroyed crops. In the swaying car, we headed to the grasslands to look for other targets. It was not difficult for us to spot the wild boars, as they appeared quite comfortably in the dry grass. This time Jackson pointed out the target he wanted to take down. It was the largest wild boar in the herd. It was running away but still in a good position. The first shot hit the pig's flank. It staggered but still tried to chase the herd. Immediately I adjusted the gun and fired a second shot, this time still hitting the target. However, the giant pig was not easy to take down. I had to fire a third shot to finish it off completely. Looking at the wild boar rolling down the hillside, I knew I had achieved my goal, winning a big prize. The wild boar had grey fur covered in mud. Perhaps it often soaked in mud puddles to reduce the harsh sunlight hit. It was terrifying. It was extremely large, had thick skin and had quite impressive fangs. On today's hunting trip, we had already killed quite a few wild boars. Most of them were large and impressive, but it didn't stop there. We still wanted to kill more wild boars. Under the trees, a herd of wild boars was feeding and quietly moving across the road. The leader of the herd was still the largest wild boar. It moved slowly without detecting any danger. It was a great opportunity. I was able to face it directly, not letting Jackson wait long. I raised my gun to aim at close range. It was not difficult for me to shoot accurately. The wild boar was hit by the bullet and ran up the hillside in panic, but it could not escape. Just a few minutes later, we saw the giant monster lying motionless. The long fangs and huge size were what I could see on these wild boars. Surely, it would take us a long time to deal with them. My hunting trip only lasted for one day. What I achieved was beyond my imagination. This was truly an impressive hunting trip. I did not hesitate to tell Jackson that I was ready for the next hunting progress. Thank you for joining me on this trip. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next video. late at night. Cold winds blew through the deserted fields outside the town, bringing with them a cold and wild feeling. Under the dim moonlight, Oliver and I picked up our bags, ready for a challenging wild boar hunt. We had hunted together at night many times, and they were all wonderful experiences. This trip required not only courage, but also vigilance and survival instinct. If you want to know what interesting things will happen, follow us now. Just as we were about to set off, a bold idea suddenly popped into my head. I wanted to use my own body to lure the wild boars closer. It sounded crazy. Oliver looked at me with a mixture of surprise and concern when I shared this idea. With the desire to conquer, I convinced my companion to carry out the plan. I sat quietly by the dense bushes, a loaded gun in my hand, my eyes tensely watching every movement. From a distance, the wild boars began to move, as if they had sense of a presence. Their dark skin was mottled with color, blending perfectly with the darkness. They moved towards in a herd, wariness unable to hide their curiosity. I could hear the growls coming from their throats, the characteristic sound of wild boars cautiously exploring their surroundings. A few minutes later, the wild boars appeared in front of me, very close, sharp fangs glinting in the moonlight, ready to tear apart anything that stood in their way. They stood there and looked at me, their small but bright eyes. My mind was struggling between two thoughts. Should I shoot immediately or let them come even closer? Then the wild boars faced the muzzle of my gun. Seizing the opportunity, I shot down the first one. The sound was as clean as the bullet cutting through the air. Immediately after, I adjusted my gun to fire a second shot, before the other wild boars could run away. Our risky game ended like that. The result was the first two wild boars lying at our feet. After a few tense moments, we decided to walk along the grasslands to find the wild boars. In the quiet night, the sound of wild boars echoed. A wild boar with a distinctive spotted coat appeared. As the boar moved out of the bushes, its eyes were alert, and its speed was also relatively fast. Oliver started his mischievous prank again, calling the boar several times in a row. A strange sound suddenly rang out, attracting its attention. It stood still to observe, but that was also an opportunity for Oliver to shoot. A precise shot to the head finished off the wild boar. It struggled for a while and then lay still, so we had another great trophy. Immediately after that, we moved to a position next to a pond. There would definitely be wild boars coming here to drink water, but this was also an ideal ambush location. As expected, a wild boar that had probably just finished drinking water was leisurely returning to the field. As it passed in front of me, I immediately opened fire to take it down. The fatal shot knocked the boar down. I had no chance to fire back. Tonight, we had a few trophies, all of them extremely large. However, Oliver said he wanted to stop by his family's cow farm nearby. That's why we appeared here, next to the cows. Not only that, mixed with the cows, we also discovered boars rummaging through leftovers. The boars, with their huge size, thick fur and sharp eyes, didn't care much about our presence, even when I held a gun and stood right next to them. Until a soul discovered us, it seemed to have realized the danger. It continuously let out a warning growl, but it was too late. It had already entered my sights. As soon as it moved to an open space, I immediately opened fire and shot it down. This farm, wild boars were ramaging. We didn't say anything. Many people might mistake this for a herd of pigs raised on the farm. If you witness the terrible destruction when they ploughed up the whole ground, you will understand why we had to hunt these pigs. In the midst of the wild boar noise, I spied another big fat boar. It was running fast across the grass, and it seemed to have sensed the danger as well. As it ran back and forth in panic, I immediately took the opportunity to shoot. A headshot caused it to collapse and struggled with painful cries before it became completely still. Another big boar. It seemed that all the boars in the area were this color. The game wasn't over yet, as Oliver and I had some unexpected mischief. He placed a loudspeaker that emitted a high-pitched screech right at the location where the boar had been shot. Soon the whole herd was attracted, and they quickly ran towards the screech. When the herd reached the top of the hill, they recognized the danger sign. Immediately, the herd turned around and ran away. Although the original plan didn't really work, I still managed to shoot and kill a boar when it stopped to observe. After midnight, we had to end the hunt because we had shot a lot of wild boars today, and of course, I will need some time to process these trophies. Thank you for following our journey. Please share your opinions in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.
A lush green orchard, where ripe, juicy fruits should be swaying peacefully in the wind, is now facing a serious threat. These intruders not only destroy trees, but also ruin the hard work of farmers. Today, our hunting team is here with a single mission: eliminate these invaders. Will the wild boars manage to escape this time? Stay tuned until the end of the video to witness intense chases and precise shots. Wild boars are silent but highly destructive threats to agriculture. With their growing numbers, rice fields, cornfields, and thriving fruit orchards can turn into wastelands overnight due to their rampages. The damage reaches millions of dollars each year, leaving many farmers in distress. Our team, experienced and skilled hunters, is ready to step into battle. After a long journey through dense forests and vast fields, our hunting team arrives in Chishewa. Without wasting a second, we step out of the vehicle, strategize, and prepare for the hunt. With thick foliage obstructing visibility, tracking the boars seems nearly impossible, but we have the advantage. Our flying camera scans the entire area, pinpointing their exact location. Once we detect their movements, the team quickly forms a tight perimeter, leaving no escape routes. Gunshots pierce the air, each shot accurate to the millimeter. The boars panic, fleeing desperately, but there is no escaping the Reaper's sight. Smoke and dust engulf the orchard as their frantic grunts fade into silence, leaving only their massive bodies struggling in vain. A thrilling, powerful hunt, and we are the undisputed masters of this battlefield. A few terrified boars bolt toward the vast cornfield, seeking refuge. But the hunt is far from over. We won't let a single one escape. As the sun dips behind the mountains, I persistently track their trail, determined to claim one more victory before nightfall. And then, luck smiles upon me. Hidden among the dense cornstalks, a wild boar moves swiftly toward the trail. Without hesitation, I fire, but the bullet narrowly misses, sending it sprinting like an arrow. I'm certain it will come this way. And just as I predicted, a massive shadow appears. This time, there's no escape. The hunt is over, and the intruder is down. The next morning, as the soft golden light of dawn blankets the orchard, we set out once more with our hunting dogs, determined to track down the remaining wild boars. The crisp air and clear visibility make for perfect hunting conditions. We don't have to wait long. Our targets emerge almost immediately, panic-stricken, sprinting at breakneck speeds. But we are prepared. With precise aim and steady hands, each shot rings out decisively, bringing them down in an instant. Gunpowder lingers in the air as the last echoes of gunfire fade, a triumphant conclusion to a spectacular hunt. I remain patient, hidden, waiting for the perfect moment. Finally, the wild boar appears. The first shot rings out, striking it hard. Staggering, wounded, it struggles forward, clinging desperately to life. The hunting dogs are already in position, ready to end the chase. Gluttonous and destructive, wild boars always target fruit-laden orchards and vast fields of crops. They see these lands as paradise, but today, this place will become their nightmare. We have tracked them relentlessly, following their every move, closing in on all possible escape routes. The herd scatters in desperation, each one falling, one by one. Some recklessly dive into thick bushes, hoping to find refuge, but all in vain. After an intense and thrilling hunt, we have successfully eliminated the orchard's greatest menace. But the battle isn't over. More herds lurk in the shadows, waiting for their chance to strike. Our mission continues: protect the farms and the people from this ongoing threat. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to join us on our next hunt.